All right, today we are diving into something really powerful and honestly, something that's often totally invisible: the connection between the stuff we carry around emotionally and our actual physical health. Turns out, our bodies might be keeping a much more detailed score than we ever realized.
So let me just ask you this. You ever get that feeling? You know, the shoulders that are basically trying to become earrings by the end of the day? The jaw you have to consciously tell to relax? Or those weird aches and pains that doctors can't seem to pin down? It's like your body is running on a whole different program, right?
And that really brings us to this incredible idea from Dr. Bessel van der Kolk. What if all those physical feelings aren't random at all? What if they're a language, a way for our body to tell us about the things we've tried to push down, the things we haven't quite let ourselves feel?
Okay, let's get specific here. Research is showing a really clear pattern. All these common things, tension headaches, that fatigue you just can't shake, gut problems. So often, they're the body's alarm system. It's trying to get our attention about unresolved emotions. You know, the anger, grief, or fear that we just try to muscle through. The body really does whisper until it has no choice but to scream.
So, how do we wrap our heads around this? Let's start with a really helpful metaphor that kind of gives this built-up emotional energy a name and a face. The spiritual teacher Eckhart Tolle calls it the pain body. He basically describes it as this little energy field inside of us that's made up of all the old painful emotions we never fully dealt with, a lot of it starting way back in childhood. You can think of it like, well, like this little entity living inside you. Sometimes it's asleep, and other times it is wide awake.
And here's where it gets really wild. The way the pain body keeps itself going, Toll says it literally wakes up and feeds on more pain. It can hijack our personality, making us say the exact thing that will provoke a negative reaction in someone else. And guess what? That wakes up their pain body. This is the engine of so much drama in our relationships. It's that crazy cycle where two people can be totally in love one minute and then at each other's throats the next, all because this thing is just trying to get its next meal.
Now, pain body is a powerful metaphor, for sure. But you might be thinking, okay, is this just a spiritual concept? Well, this is where it gets fascinating because there is a massive amount of hard science that backs this up with some pretty startling data.
So back in the late 90s, a doctor named Vincent Folletti, working with the CDC, did this huge landmark study. It was called the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, or ACEs for short. They surveyed more than 17,000 adults, asking them all about their childhoods and then matching that info with their health records. And what they found, well, it completely changed how we understand trauma. And get this is the part that is so crucial. This wasn't some small, unlucky group of people. A shocking 64% of the adults in the study had gone through at least one of these experiences. This just blew the lid off the idea that childhood trauma is some rare thing. No, it's a massive public health crisis hiding right in front of us. So, what are we actually talking about when we say ACEs? Well, the study looked at 10 specific types of experiences in three main buckets: abuse, neglect, and really serious household chaos or dysfunction. Basically, these are the kinds of things that create a toxic, stressful environment for a kid's developing brain and body.
And this just lays it out so clearly. They found what's called a dose-response relationship. The more ACEs someone had, the higher their risk for all sorts of bad outcomes later. I mean, look at this data for depression. If you had 0 ACEs, your chance of experiencing depression is around 12%. But for a woman with 4 or more, that risk skyrockets to 66%. The link is it's direct and it is powerful. And the impact can be absolutely devastating. For someone with an ACE score of 6 or more, the likelihood that they'll attempt suicide increases by 5,000%. This isn't just about feeling sad. This is literally life and death. That unresolved pain from the past has real, measurable, and profound consequences. Okay, so we've seen the what. The connection is undeniable. But the big question is how? How does emotional pain from when you're a kid turn into physical illness decades later? The answer, it turns out, is in our biology. So our bodies have this brilliant built-in alarm system. It's called the HPA axis. And when we face a threat, like, say, a tiger jumps out at us, it floods our system with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. This is our fight or flight response, and it's amazing. It's designed to save our lives in the short term. Here is the absolute key difference.
In a healthy system, the alarm goes off, we deal with a threat, and then a calming response kicks in and brings everything back to normal, back to a safe baseline. But when a child is living in chronic trauma, they never get to feel safe enough for the system to reset. Their alarm system's off switch basically breaks. It gets stuck on high alert, or it just completely short circuits and shuts down.
And living with an alarm that never, ever stops ringing, well, it takes a massive toll. That constant flood of stress hormones wears down pretty much every system in the body. It hammers our immune system, it damages our heart, it messes up our digestion, and it even changes our brain, making it harder to think clearly and leaving us in a state of constant anxiety. The body is stuck in survival mode, even when the original danger is long, long gone.
Now, I know that is a lot of really heavy information, but here's the hopeful part. Understanding how it works is the first step toward changing it. The good news is that our nervous system can learn, and just like it learned fear, it can learn safety. So this last part is all about how we can start to reclaim our own bodies. And this is just so important to get. Healing isn't about trying to forget what happened. It's not about erasing the past. It's about creating a new experience for your body right now. It's about gently, consistently sending a message to that deep survival part of your brain that the war is over and it's finally safe to come home. So how do we actually do that? It can start with these 4 simple steps. First, just awareness. Just noticing that tightness in your chest without judging yourself for it. Second, naming it. Research actually shows that just putting a label on an emotion, saying, "Oh, I'm feeling fear," calms the brain down. Third, self-compassion. Talking to yourself with the same kindness you'd give to a good friend. And finally, release. Because this energy is stored in the body, it has to be released through the body, through movement, deep breaths, even just a good solid cry.
And all of this leads to this beautiful and honestly game-changing way of looking at everything. Your body isn't your enemy. It is not betraying you. It has been doing its absolute best to protect you in the only way it knew how. All those physical symptoms we started with, they're not just random inconveniences. They're signals. They're invitations to just pause and listen and offer yourself some care.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. If we can stop seeing our physical pain as a problem to be fixed and start seeing it as a message to be heard, what kind of story might we discover? What is your body trying to tell you today? Thanks for digging into this with me.